Hello and welcome back. Today, I'm giving you everything you need to know to be a social media manager and basically giving you the whole roadmap. This is exactly what I would do if I had to start from scratch all over again, didn't have any clients, testimonials, experience, none of that stuff. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can become a social media manager too. This is exactly what I do if I was trying to get clients, but also trying to keep them too, right? Because if you can't keep your clients, you're not going to grow. And if you're not going to grow, then you don't really have a business. But first, let's talk about what a social media manager is. A lot of people think it's just posting content, videos, photos, and that's it. All you have to do, you just upload something and press post. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that's not how it is. There's a lot that goes behind it. Now, I've talked about this before in many videos, but the role of the social media manager is to create awareness for the brand. They're not the marketing plan, they're part of the marketing plan, and they're just a piece of the puzzle. And so it's really important to make that clear when you're talking to businesses. And as a whole, the business needs to be operating well for social media to work. Because if a business isn't operating well, social media can't save a dying business, but social media is extremely powerful. And if businesses aren't using it to the full extent, then they're missing a lot of opportunities to sell and connect with future or current customers. So to give you a quick rundown of what a social media manager does, they want to create awareness, okay? They want to get the word out that this business exists, this is what the business does, this is how it makes your life better, this is how it solves some problems, right? And so a lot of people will think, oh, it's just getting a lot of views, it's posting videos to get a lot of views. And while yes, that is part of it, there's a lot more metrics we can control because the algorithm changes, the algorithm can be a little funky sometimes, and we don't always have control over whether or not a video will get a lot of views. However, one thing that we can control, are we making content that's interesting enough for people to want to comment on or share or save or repost? Just a quick rundown, social media manager is going to strategize. They're the ones who are going to say, okay, this is the type of content we need to be making. This is the kind of messaging we need to have. This is kind of the brand voice we need to have. They're creating the content. They're working with the client to create the content, editing a lot of the times, writing captions, and then posting. And once you press post, that is not the end. They're also engaging with other accounts and most importantly, tracking analytics. Because if you're not tracking analytics or how well your content's doing, what are we doing here? Number one thing I would recommend doing is start your own social media page. I don't really care what it is. It could be being a social media manager, but I personally would just start a page of like a hobby or something you're interested in. And I've talked about this before, but it's really important because it gives you the chance to learn how to grow a page that isn't just like, I feel like a lot of times with social media managers and people who start pages to be a social media manager, they'll focus on like kind of like tips of like growth and stuff. And that's how they're able to grow their page, is by giving tips on growing pages. You know what I mean? And so I feel like it's kind of just a circular thing. So that's why I do recommend starting a page of something that you're interested in. For example, I love music. I write music. And so that's how I started. I just made a page about my music and learned how to create content about my music, right? Because I feel like that's where you really learn. Do something fun. Do something you're passionate about. Cooking, knitting, puzzles, walking, working out, baking, decorating, interior design, tutorials, hair tutorials, makeup, like literally anything that you're interested in. Books, cleaning, all that stuff, journaling, I don't know, art, like literally anything. That's the number one thing. Because also you might find out that you actually hate creating content, and then you know, I don't want to do this. But if you do find you love creating content, maybe that page will pick up and you'll find other opportunities that way. That will definitely let you know if being a social media manager is what you want to do. Ideally, give yourself like a couple months, like 1 or 2, 3 months to kind of learn how to do that. If you're kind of in a rush and you just want to start it now, I'm guessing a lot of you already have some experience, which is why you're watching this video, then don't worry about that. But I mean, I just think it's fun to create a page, and it gives you an opportunity to experiment and try different content types and hooks and all that fun stuff that if you're just starting a social media management page, you can sometimes miss. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean it's bad. You definitely do want to start a social media management page a little bit later, But at least if you don't have any experience, start a hobby page. Step number 2 is you want to offer someone like a friend or a family who has a business or has some kind of page, offer to manage it for them for free for a month. Post, 3 times a week or whatever, or 5 times a week if you want to, just so that you can also get some experience knowing what it's like to manage somebody they trust you, they love you, and they will give you a great testimonial from it too. And who knows, maybe it'll turn into a business opportunity as well. I wouldn't recommend doing like free trials or anything for like actual customers, but at least if you're wanting to just get testimonials, offer to do that for people. That way you have your own hobby page and then you're helping someone else in exchange for a testimonial, and it's not for a very long time. And then step number 3 is you want to put all your results onto a portfolio, and you don't need to have crazy results. You don't have to go viral or anything like that. Really what people want to see is examples of your work. If you have great results, fantastic, put them on there, but you don't have to. Even if it's, I grew 100 followers in 2 weeks, like that's significant. You know what I mean? I got this amount of views in 30 days, or I increased their views from this much to this much by 50% or something. That's also significant. Like there's huge wins in that, or I increased their engagement. And so you want to have those results. If you already have great results, awesome, put them up there. If you don't have great results yet, that's okay. You can just create kind of a portfolio showing examples of your work. And then as you're growing your page and maybe managing somebody else, start posting the results you're getting on that portfolio as well. But I would say that people are going to be looking for the type of style of content you're making, just how it looks, your editing style, all that stuff. So here's an example of a portfolio. I'd highly recommend doing a website with Canva, like a Canva website. It's really nice. It's really nice on mobile and then on desktop too. And then shameless plug, I have a template down below if you're interested in purchasing that. But otherwise, there are a lot of great templates out there too. This is just my personal favorite. Now, the other thing you want to do with your portfolio, especially if you're getting into UGC, user-generated content, is just create a bunch of videos, which is why I also think it's so important to just start your own page and to have fun with it, because this is where you can just showcase all your videos, and you don't even have to post them. Just make like example videos. So, even if you want to make content for a restaurant, like make some mock content for a restaurant, or if there's products you love, or just anything, like the kind of clients you want to work with, you want to put that kind of content on your portfolio. Now that you have your portfolio, obviously now it's time to start reaching out. When it comes to getting a client with like cold outreach, it really is a numbers game. You're just going to have to email a lot. And I've talked about cold emails. I have a free template that I use down below if you're interested, and then a video link down below as well that you can check out to help you with that. But really the secret sauce is providing them with some kind of freebie and some information that they can use, because that just shows that you know what you're talking about. And then of course, link your portfolio. That's what people are interested in the most. Just send a lot of emails. I've also seen people, look up businesses looking to hire social media managers, and instead of like applying for the job, they're like, hey, I can freelance instead. There are lots of ways to do it. The best way for me has been through cold emailing and social media, which is what I will get to next in step 5, is set up your social media management business account. So this part, it's really up to you, because let's say you do have already your hobby page. If that's more of like a personal brand page and it's not like super niche down, then just use that page, because you are your business. Like, being a social media manager, the reason why people want to work with you is because of you and your personality and who you are. And so it really is kind of like a personal brand thing. But if it's like really niche down where it's like my painting account, then yeah, probably not. But I do think at some point you will have to decide, where do I want to put my energy? Am I going to want to put my energy into my hobby account, or am I going to want to put my energy more into my business account? And that's really up to you. And again, I think that's why it's important to start that page first to know if you want to do that instead of being a social media manager, because there's a lot of business opportunities to do that, But for me personally, music's just a hobby. I really don't post on there anymore. I love posting more about like growing my business and posting about social media stuff and Canva and design and UGC and all that stuff much more. And so I created a separate account Take with that as you will. Don't know if that's helpful or not, but social media is a really powerful way to get clients because it gets the word out. If you're posting about being a social media manager, you're going to get people who are looking for social media managers and they're going to reach out to you. So it's a great way. Again, it's a numbers game too. The more you put into it, the more you get out. The more you post, the more you get out. It doesn't matter if you're getting 200 views. If you're posting every day or a couple times a day, that matters more than the views. I hope that makes sense and that's not too confusing with like step 1. Step number 6 is the whole onboarding process. Now, I have videos about this, link down below if you're interested about, how I manage clients with contracts, how I onboard my clients, all that stuff. You can find those videos linked down below. But I use Hello Bonsai for my contracts and for my invoices. It's the best. I mean, it's all I've used and I love it. And I really don't have any reason to not use them because it's really simple and I don't have to write my contracts out. They're all, templates and stuff. So I would recommend using Hello Bonsai or something like that. But if you want a more in-depth guide on how to onboard clients, then you can watch my other videos. So that's a step-by-step plan to get your business started. But that's not all. There's a second part of this, which is keeping your clients happy and keeping clients, period, right? Which means you got to get results for your clients and you have to actually do what you say you were going to do. And I know that social media can feel really tricky and really daunting, and it's just like an emotional roller coaster, and sometimes you just put in so much effort and you get 5 likes, and that's just the reality. But if you follow these 4 steps, I guarantee you that you will get results for your clients and yourself. Really, again, the name of the game for social media is consistency. And I know like everyone says that all the time, but I think it really is being consistent, and not only consistent, but like tracking things. So let's get into it. Rule number 1 for everything you do: know the audience. If you don't know who you're making content for and who you're trying to reach and what kind of messaging you're making, you will not grow. You need to know who you're targeting. What's the demographics? Are they young? Are they older? Are they male? Are they female? Like, do they live locally? Are they all over? Like, what are they interested in? Like, you need to know the audience super well. What kind of messaging do they like? What kind of messaging do they not like? What are the kind of things that they're watching while they're scrolling? Also, if you're working with a business, they already know who their target market is, and so makes it pretty simple. And most businesses also know what kind of messaging they want. Here's the brand voice, here's the kind of thing we want to be saying, here's the kind of thing we want to be avoiding. Stick with that. You have to stick with that. If you go anything outside and you're doing some crazy stuff and your target market is like old ladies, but you're like making Gen Z brain rot jokes, like, it's not gonna work. That's the number 1 rule, and I cannot emphasize that enough. It's honestly, if you're not growing and it's not doing well, you got to go to rule number 1. Rule number 2 is to entertain your audience. The reason we all go on social media is to be entertained. Sure, we can get like educated and inspired and getting information, but I think as a whole, we're on social media to scroll and laugh and be entertained. You have to entertain, and this doesn't mean just in jokes. This means like twists and plot twists and unexpected things, right? Again, this relates to knowing your audience. Knowing what is going to entertain them is really important. Like I said, if your target market are old ladies, cheesy little cute sayings are going to be their cup of tea. But if your target market is Gen Z brain rot all the way. Even if you're trying to give like educational content, you got to make it fun. Rule number 3, engage with other accounts. Comment, spend a couple of minutes every single day engaging and commenting. You have no idea how much of an influence that has. If you come across a video that has 2 likes, comment on that sucker because it's on your For You page for a reason. If it does end up blowing up, like your comment's like one of the first ones, and it really helps with visibility. I notice a huge difference from when I'm engaging versus when I'm not, and it's huge. And then rule number 4, super important, you got to track your analytics obsessively. Obsess over the numbers, because within the numbers, there's a lot of really important information that a lot of times we overlook. This is also going to tell you got to stop doing this certain kind of content. I personally was posting and was looking at I was posting this content. I was doing these cute B-roll videos with like text over them, and I just loved them. They were so easy, so cute. And then I looked back at my analytics and they were the worst performing content. So guess what I'm not going to be doing? I'm not going to be doing those B-roll videos, right? But if I hadn't looked at my analytics, I probably would still be doing them. It's a tried and true. When you know what kind of content is your top performing content and you keep doing it over and over again, it's a numbers game. Eventually, it's going to blow up. Those are the 4 rules. If you follow those 4 rules, I guarantee you'll keep your clients happy, you'll do well, and obviously like do what you say you're going to do. You know, if you're posting 5 times a week, post 5 times a week. That is the step-by-step guide on being a social media manager, what I would do if I had to start from scratch, and how to keep my business healthy and running. Let me know if you have any questions or comments or things that you've done that you would want to add to this list as well, because I would love to hear it. And obviously we want to help each other out. I do have a social media management starter guide linked down below in case you're interested. It has all the templates you need, a content calendar, an analytics tracker, an analytics report that you can do with your clients. It's got a client questionnaire, basically an 8-in-1 bundle that you can use to get started. If you're not interested in purchasing anything, no worries. I make all the information and templates that I talk about available to you for free through educational content and tutorials. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.